Everyone can see my screen, right? Hello, hello, hello. Everyone can see my screen, right? Okay. I will share some document. So today class we will discuss about SQL Server introduction and regarding SQL Server history. Let me tell you one thing. So this is just introduction of SQL Server and history regarding SQL Server. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Okay. Microsoft SQL Server is one of the best database management systems in the world. So I think I'm not as a SQL DBA admin. As a SQL DBA admin, I cannot say this. So there is some rankings given by some company. So which company has which corporation is having a best database management system. So like who is the vendor? So like Microsoft SQL Server is the vendor designed by Microsoft, right? And Oracle and MySQL, these are designed by Oracle corporations, and the remaining as well. So based on their performance, based on their usage, some company will give ranking. So based on that ranking, I am saying Microsoft SQL Server is one of the best database management system in the world. I think you know that. SQL Server is a relational database management system. So when we come to database management system, it is a software to communicate with. Uh, See here again, database management is divided into many types like network model, hierarchical model, relational model, object oriented model, and object relational model like NoSQL. So these are the different types of DBMS, and among them the relational database management system is most popular and widely used. Okay. The current version is recent version is hold on a second. See, actually, the recent version is SQL Server 2022. See here, I can. You are seeing my screen, right? The current version is SQL Server 2022, and the previous version of SQL Server 2022 is SQL Server 2019. Okay, and SQL Server 2019 is the 17th version released by Microsoft. Okay, and let's come to the versions which are released between 1996 and 1919 are not considered as a full versions, and you can remember that the initial release of SQL Server took place in 1989. Okay, so just we are talking about the history of SQL Server. So this is the one of the best supported and most popular RDBMS on the market. So why it is best supported means most popular RDBMS means most popular. When we come to most popular means it is a most RDBMS products are like a command line usage, but this SQL Server database management system is both GUI based and command based, and GUI is very useful to each and everyone. Okay, so we are saying because this reason we are saying SQL Server is most popular RDBMS and even best supported by Microsoft. If we in organization we are having any issue with SQL Server technical issue, so then we can contact Microsoft team and they can help you. Okay, so SQL Server, so why it is most popular means here you can see it is having graphical user interface and even we can generate reports based on by using SQL Server. Okay, it has many not tools like services like analysis services, integration services, reporting services, and these are the means business intelligence development studio. All these comes under business intelligence development studio, and those who which organization wants to generate reports based on their data, so even they can also use SQL Server because SQL Server SQL Server consists of these features like analysis services, reporting services. So these are the very useful to analyze the data to generate the reports also. So why SQL Server is most popular means this is the one reason also, and SQL Server is itself created by Microsoft and distributed by Microsoft and developed by Microsoft, and it is one of the best supported solutions on the market. So its customer service is very professional. See, when you work with MS SQL Server, you can communicate with databases using T-SQL. I had already told to you. So T-SQL, which is a language designed by Microsoft to communicate with their own SQL Server. So actually, standard language is SQL. So which is which we can abbreviate like standard structured query language. Okay, there is a little bit difference between SQL language, SQL language, and T-SQL language. So, if you want reference, you can. There is a documentation for T-SQL by Microsoft. You can check the documentation. And let us comes to history of SQL Server. See, in 1989, in the year of 1989, so they can release the SQL Server 1.0, and its code name is like this. Okay, Philippi. Okay, in 1991 they released one more SQL Server version. It is a SQL Server 1.1, and in 1993, so they have released one more version, SQL Server 4.2, and each version has individual code name. Okay, like this. Okay, code name you can see here, right? And in 1995 there will be a release of SQL Server 6.0, and the code name is like this, SQL 95. And in 1996 another version is released, which is SQL Server 6.5. And in 1998 there is one more SQL Server, that is SQL Server 7.0 version. And in 2000, so they released one version, that is SQL Server 2000. Okay, in 2005 they released the SQL Server 2005 version. In 2008 they released the SQL Server 2008. And in between 2008 and 2012, in 2010, okay, just remember here, just remember in between 2008 and 2012, in between these, in the year of 2010 they released one more version, that is SQL Server 2008 R2. Okay, SQL Server 2008 R2 in the year of 2010. Okay, just remember that also. And in the next, in the year of 2012, they released one more version, and that is SQL Server 2012. And in the year of 2014, they released SQL Server 2014. Like 2016 and 2017 and 2019 also. And the current version is SQL Server 22. Uh, okay, let us see here. Actually, now we will discuss about each version, and at least we will mention one feature regarding each version. See, the evolution of MS SQL Server started in 1988. So, when Microsoft joined forces with Aston Tate and Sybase, see, Microsoft combined with Aston Tate, which is one organization or one company, and Sybase is one more organization. So these three are combined. They have tried to develop one database management system that is nothing but MS SQL Server. Okay, so the first very product is SQL Server 1.0. It was a 16-bit wide server for the opening operating environment of OS2, so which is owned by Sybase, I think, or IBM. IBM. Okay, SQL Server 1.0 is the first product, and it was a 16-bit. Now we are using a SQL Server which is a 64-bit, I think, a 64-bit. See, in the very first SQL Server, that is SQL Server 1.0, so which is a 16-bit wide server for the operating environment of. So this is the operating OS name. Okay, operating system name is OS/2. Okay, so which is this OS is owned by I think IBM, definitely IBM. Okay, next SQL Server 1.0, it was launched in 1989. Okay. Next, Microsoft and Sybase released version 1.0 in 1989. So same matter here. So, however, partnership between those two, the partnership between Microsoft and Sybase is ended in 1990s, and Microsoft maintained ownership rights to the name of SQL Server. So SQL Server rights will be owned by Microsoft after they deported each other. Okay, so actually, Microsoft and Sybase combined and they released the version SQL Server 1.0 in 1999. So in 1990s, their partnership is ended, and who gained the SQL Server rights means Microsoft. Okay. Next, the SQL Server version 4.2, which is released in 1993. So this was the first version which has a graphical user interface. Okay, so before previous versions of these previous versions I mean before SQL Server version 4.2, remaining previous versions all are based on command line, I think. So next, SQL Server 6.0, its code name is SQL 95, and it is released in 1995. So it's a in this SQL Server they introduced the one more feature, that is replication. Okay, so SQL Server 7.0, and actually up to 6.0, Sybase actually Microsoft and Sybase both are combined, and they written the code to develop the RDBMS product like SQL software, right? So in SQL Server 7.0, so Microsoft released Sybase code, and they rewritten the code, okay, for a database engine. Uh, in this way, Microsoft gained full control over the product. Okay, and even in SQL Server 7.0 only, they introduced one more service, which is a SQL OLAP service, and which will become analysis services in the next version. Next version is SQL Server 2000. Okay, so the what is the difference between each version means they enhanced the features. Okay, they enhance the features from version to version. Okay, so in the same way, SQL Server 2005, it will native support for XML data management in addition to relational data handling. Next, we will come to SQL Server 2008. So in SQL Server 2008, backup compression option is designed by Microsoft. So backup compression option is available from SQL Server 2008 onwards. You just remember, okay? And in SQL Server 2012, and we have the chance to work with cluster instances and group availability. I think you don't confuse. Always on is introduced from SQL Server 2012 onwards. You just remember this important point. Okay. Uh, so next SQL Server 2014. So in this, I think in memory OLTP. Uh, uh, I mean, if there is a large size of tables in SQL Server database, so they to manage those large size tables, they introduced one more feature, that is in-memory OLTP, and that will be in SQL Server 2014 version. So let's move to one more version, that is SQL Server 2016. So in this version, they introduce one more feature, that is a polybase. But during my experience, I never used this polybase feature. Even I confirm that you also don't get chance to work with polybase feature. Okay, so why we use polybase feature means we just to query CSV data or data stored in Azure. So for that we can use polybase feature. And even SQL Server 2016, they introduced one more security feature, that is always encrypted. So always encrypted is a feature, security feature, which will encrypt the column level data. For example, in a table, columns are there, right? To encrypt any sensitive information, like credit card numbers or account numbers, whatever it is, so we can use this always encrypted function. Okay, so this always encrypted function or feature is released in the version of SQL Server 2016. Let us move to one more version, SQL Server 2017. So from SQL Server 20 up to SQL Server 2016, and this what SQL Server will support only on Windows platform. Okay, we will install SQL Server only on Windows Server. It will not support remaining OSs like Linux, whatever it is. Okay, but from SQL Server 2017 onwards, SQL Server is we can able to install SQL Server on Linux OS also. Linux is a one of the operating system, and Windows is also one of operating system. Up to 2016 version, we can able to install SQL Server on only Windows platform. From 2017 onwards, we can able to install SQL Server on Linux platform also. Okay. Next, SQL Server 2019, which is a one more version. So it includes big data clusters option, which allows users to work with gained data sets. So the latest released version is SQL Server 2022. I would like to remember one thing. Up to SQL Server 2014, up to SQL Server 2014 version, so SSMS is inbuilt. For example, if you are installing SQL Server, there you have the option to choose SQL Server management tools. In the management tools itself, SQL Server Management Studio is there. I mean, SSMS is there. No need to go to website again and click the download the SSMS like that. But from 2016 onwards, they have separated SSMS. Okay, when suppose if we are going to install SQL Server 2016 version on our Windows server or Windows desktop OS, we can't get SSMS by default. We have to go to website and we can download SSMS separately. Okay, I think you understood, right? So latest version is SQL Server 22. So no one will ask these things in interview scenario, but you have to know about these things. Okay, up to now, any doubts? Hello. Yeah, can you hear me or not? I need response from your side.
Yes, yes, you can hear you.
Okay, I just mentioned each and everything for your to just know about SQL Server. See here, one same whatever we discussed up to now. So same thing I just mentioned here in the table format. So version and when it is released, release name, and so what is the code name. So in the similar way, so many are there. So here also same thing, but here some more information is there. So when this version is released, and actually SQL, when they release SQL Server version, they will give support for that version or that SQL Server, but they have some end date, mainstream end date and extended end date. Actually, it is a support. Okay, if you suppose, let us see here. Mm, See, SQL Server 7.0, which is released in 1998, and they will give support for if you have any issues, if you have any technical issues found with the SQL Server 7.0. So while working with SQL Server, then you can contact SQL Microsoft, and you can ask okay anything in this date. Okay, 2005, this is the main what is it, mainstream end date. Okay, and they can extend this support date up to 2011 also. So after 2011, January 11, they cannot give any support for SQL Server 7.0 version. Even if you have any issues with the SQL Server 7.0, you have to uh, you have to troubleshoot yourself. Otherwise, you just upgrade from this version to any new version. Okay, that's the thing you have to do. So in this table, there is a version name and when it is released, mainstream extended supported extended support date, and SQL Server version, SQL Server code name, internal code. This is okay. So each and everything will be there. I think from 2014 onwards, they released Azure SQL data means SQL database. Actually, they released, I think, 2010 only, right? Azure SQL database initial release in 2010. So Azure SQL database is nothing but cloud database. Okay. So here you have the information, and so what are the advantages of SQL Server? Easy installation. When we compare with Oracle or some other, so we have to go to command prompt. We can mention each and feature in command prompt. So we can feel somewhat difficult, but when we come up with SQL Server, which is a GUI method, we can choose the feature and we can click on next. So it will be somewhat easy when we compare with other softwares, whether others are RDBMS softwares. So easy installation, improved performance and security, multiple editions and price variations. So let us compare when we talk about improved performance. Improved performance, for example, they can release. we will discuss these things after we will discuss these terminologies. Okay. Let me just so you can remember this. What are the advantages of SQL Server? Easy installation, improved performance, security, multiple editions and price variations, excellent data restoration and recovery mechanism. Even SQL Server itself has own monitoring tools and so many lot. Even we don't SQL Server itself has backup mechanism, restore mechanism. SQL Server itself has monitoring tool mechanism, and so it has a lot. So why people are using SQL Server heavily means, so these are the things. And SQL Server software product terminology. So I think I have explained already. Let me come to here. CTP. It stands for Community Technology Preview. RC release candidate. RTM release it to manufacturing or market. See, it is the original released build version of the product. Okay. RTM means suppose recently SQL Server 2022 is released, right? When you download the SQL Server 2022 and if you install the SQL Server 2022 in your Windows Server, then we can see the version of SQL Server by using the command select that version. Then you can see it is a RTM. You can see there it is a RTM. Okay. So CU cumulative update. So after releasing the first original version, later on they can release CUs, cumulative updates. Cumulative updates contain the bug fixes and enhancements up to that point in time. Up to 2000, from 2017 onwards, he is releasing only CUs for RTM on top of RTM. I think we will discuss a lot in patching. Service pack up to 2016, he has been released service pack. First, he will release the first original product RTM. There, he can release the service pack one. Under that, he can release the again CUs like CU1. For example, first he will release the, for example, 2016 RTM version is released. Then after 6 months, he can release the on top of RTM, he can release the SP1 service pack one. Again, under service pack one, he can release the CU1, CU2, CU3, etc. After 6 months, he can release the SP2, and under this SP2, he also releases CUs, okay, like CU1, CU2 again. So in this way, he can release them. And next, GDR. What is the GDR? General Distribution Release. GDR fixes should not contain any of these CU updates. It is just for security purpose they release. Quick fix engineering. CVE, common vulnerabilities and exposures. So OD, on demand hotfix, COD, critical on demand hotfix. So we will discuss all these things in patching. Let us come to product edition and product level and product version in SQL Server. So we usually assume there is a much difference between these terminologies. We don't we can assume like this. There is no difference between, but there is no difference between these terminologies, but there will be a difference. Okay. I mean, I'm going to explain right now what is version, what is edition, and what is product level. Product level is nothing but like here it is CTP, RC, RTM. These are the product levels. Okay. And product edition, like enterprise edition, standard edition, and web edition, data center edition. So many are there. Developer edition, express edition, evaluation edition. So those are the editions. In each version, editions are there. So coming to product version, I think we have discussed already, like 2012, 14, 16, 17, 19, 22, so on so. So these are the versions. Let us comes to I think you should familiar with these what is product edition, product level, and product version. And A real time scenario, we will, if you know, then it will be helpful. Okay, so let us see one example. Select attached version is the command to find out the version of SQL Server. When we paste this command and execute in query window, we will get the SQL Server version. Presently, it is like a Microsoft SQL Server 2008 R2 RTM. So it is a build number, right? So 10.50.1600.1, which is a build number. Okay, totally this is a build number. So this is the installed date and time. So April to 2019, this is the time. And this is the edition, enterprise edition. SQL Server is, which is a 64-bit, and where you installed on Windows NTOS 6.1. Okay, next, what is product level? A product level indicates the maturity of the product. Okay, CTP, which is the product, the stage is generally an incomplete preview of new technology. See, while they are going to prepare SQL Server, right? Uh, so I think they prepared everything regarding a new version of SQL Server. So that is known as a CTP product level. And so Microsoft has its own community, and they can release this product to their own community. Community has many members. They can test this CTP version, CTP product level. Okay, and they can email to Microsoft. This CTP product level has some bugs and issues, and each and everyone will mail those things to Microsoft. Microsoft will fix those things. Okay, see here. Uh, Let us see here. New features might be added or removed from this level. Okay, next, RC candidates. RC stands for release candidate. This product at this stage is less bug product. So when they prepared, after the CTP, it will comes to RC a product level. See again, after the improvements, after the enhancements of SQL Server, again they can release. Now it is going to it is showing less than 1 minute. I will stop sharing and click on same link. Okay,